How's it going, everybody? My name is Tarek, and welcome to tonight's stream. Tonight, what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbox the mix of the track One Final Act on the Brink of Despair, which is track 3. Not the third track I've released, but track 3 in my, like, let's say, original music type of thing, where I've started tracking them from A Starry Night, number 1, Royal Armatures, number 2, and this one's number 3. The stuff that I've done in the past, they're part of my discography, but I've started the count from A Starry Night when it comes to, let's say, storytelling type releases, which is gonna be 99% of the music I do. That's the type of music I like to do, but regardless, yeah, so it's track 3. Now here's a few things. First of all, the track is sent to Spotify or through DistroKid, and it's going to be released on everywhere on the 19th of March, and then that's the full one, and then the orchestral version and the band only version is going to be released, I think, the Wednesday after that. I forgot the date, but literally the Wednesday after. So 19th would be a Wednesday on March, and then the Wednesday after would be you would get an album on Spotify with all 3 tracks, the full one, orchestral only, and band only. Now, with that being said, last time I streamed working on this track was 2 Saturdays ago, and we were obviously mixing it. This following Sunday, or next Sunday, I woke up, started to work on it a little bit more, just to, get a little bit more work done before we get to the stream, and kind of like update you guys on what I've done. But then the track actually drove me insane. Like, the mix, there's a lot of stuff I didn't like about. It was a hair-pulling moment, to a point where I had remixed the track, or like 60% of the track is remixed like 9 times, I think, and remastered like 7 times or something like this. Like, I've went back and forth a lot on this track, and I know the kind of like mistakes I've done along the way, and a lot of them are not, they're not really mixing mistakes. So there are some mixing stuff that I've learned from this song, from doing this and like fixing the errors, but a lot of them were philosophy mistakes, so I just wanted to touch on those. So basically, a lot of the times when I mix, I load presets from my mixing presets from other tracks. What do I mean by preset? I'm not talking about plugin presets, I'm talking about channel presets. So I would go, so let's say the song A Starry Night or Royal Armature, I would save the strip from Royal Armature, and normally I load it on the new track, but I don't load it all on, I load it off, and while I'm mixing, I just turn on a plugin, tweak it to that kick, and see if it works. Cool. Turn on the next one. Let's say if it's an EQ, I delete the curve from that song, and I EQ the kick again. But just so that, basically why I do this, just because I want the chain of plugins to be the same. That's why I do the preset. And there are some settings in some plugins that are not changeable, like let's say R bass on my kick normally is the same setting. The other settings that needs to change from that chain is every time, like let's say if I unbypassed or turned on the compressor, I'll change the threshold or whatever I need to change, right? But basically, the reason why I summon these presets from older mixes to newer mixes is, it's a very common practice in mixing, but the reason why I do it is because I want those chains that I know and love, and sometimes I tweak them. I change a compressor, or I change an EQ, or I add something depending on the song. Something's too harsh, I might add an additional EQ or something. Basically, it's a faster thing. The problem with this track is that because I was at the final stage of it, which is mixing, I really started rushing, and I started kind of like loading these, and still doing the same thing while everything is off, and I go one by one on each chain and making sure. But my mindset was very Like, I just want to release this, I just want to release this, I just want to release this. And that got me into a lot of mistakes, and I made me want to do shortcuts and not listen properly. And yeah, so I ended up like hating the bass tone, hating the guitar tone, hating the drums, hating how the orchestra is. A lot of stuff didn't like, so I had to, you know, remix it a lot of time. But I think on Friday I took a break, so I took Friday, Saturday a break, and Sunday as well, and I went back to it Sunday afternoon, right? So last Sunday afternoon, and with you know, a clear mind and kind of like a new, you know, a fresh set of ears, let's say. I've done it again, and I think I've made a lot of correct decisions, and I've made some new ones that I'm gonna carry on to my next tracks as well. And I will be talking about those as we unbox the mix. So every time we go into a point where this is something, there's a thing that I've learned, or there's a thing that I've changed, or whatever it is, I'll point out, I'll be like, this is something I learned now, or this is something I've done now and I like, and I'm gonna carry on to other mixes or other stuff. But yeah, with that being said, let's not ramble a lot. We've got a lot of tracks to go through. I mean, the session says 193, but if you remove all the groups and all of the you know, masters and all of that stuff, it's probably gonna be about maybe 170 or something like that, maybe. And there's the folders as well. So yeah, it's probably 170 tracks, like the actual tracks playing. But not some of these are because of the scene. You know, the scene has like steps, like all of like these by themselves are, I don't know, yeah, like 10 tracks here, just footsteps. So there are some tracks that are not doing a lot. But let's go to them one by one. So the way we're gonna go to this is we're gonna go the same way I mix. Right, so we're gonna go first check out the master chain, which is the stereo out, the mix bus, the band master, the orchestral master, all of that stuff. Then we're gonna check the drums, guitar, the bass, and then we're gonna move to the orchestra. Then we're gonna move to the production, and then we're gonna move to the scene. And that's how we're gonna do this. So let's dive in. So okay, first actually, let's play the track. I'm gonna play it from here. I mean, I can play it on SoundCloud. It is on SoundCloud right now, pre-release. But I'm gonna play the track, all of it, and then we'll jump into the elements. Moved here. This was here. Oh my god. Niz, how's it going, man? Thank you so much for the raid. I think this is hey. Thank you so much, Niz. Here we go. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining, man. Habibi, ahla zalama. How's it going, Raiders? We are doing. I'm not sure. I hope that the chat is not delayed, but I don't think so, because it seems like my stream is healthy. But appreciate you all joining. I am doing a mix unbox for the track that we've heard on this channel, actually, and I'm going through the process. But Nis, thank you so much, my friend, for the raid. I hope you know the rest of the stream was fantastic, and welcome, Raiders. For those who haven't listened to the track, I'm just gonna play a snippet of it because it's a bit of a longer track, and I will carry on explaining the mastering chain and the mixing chain and how you would do like orchestral stuff and like heavy stuff. But yeah, I'm just gonna play a few sections, maybe up until the chorus. So these four sections here, and then some of the track gets repeated, so I'm not gonna go through that. So let's play a little bit of it. You can't hear audio? Oh, wait. I think I know why. Can you hear it now? There we go. Fantastic. As you can see from the sectioning here, you know, the track repeats. You've got intro, verse, and then there's a breakdown, and then there's that scene that you guys liked when I was on this channel, which is here. So I've aligned all of the footsteps and the dialogue to make sure that the character sounds injured.
It's finally over. We did it. Wait. What the? Oh no.
And then the tracks, and then, you know, the outro starts. So so you haven't missed a lot, actually. I was just explaining the mastering chain because I do a top-down type approach. So just to summarize everything, the way I do my mastering is that I send the band to a band master, I send the orchestra to an orchestral master, all of the production elements to a production master, the scene to a scene master, and then all of those are going to my mix bus, which is here, and then from the mix bus to the stereo out. And then the philosophy is I have some side chaining on the orchestra so that the band ducks the orchestra when needed and carves out the frequency that it needs them. Then the band and the orchestra ducks the production master to take out the frequency that they don't need, and then it goes to the mix bus. So I'm just gonna go through some of the plugins I have on all of these masters here very quickly, and you will see. So I've got on the band master, I've got an OTT only at 10%, 100% upward, no downward, and then that's the only thing on the band master. This is bypassed. Orchestral master, I've got soothe, a factory preset. I think it works fine on this one. Then I've got only on this mix, I don't bring this with, I bring the EQ with me, but I don't bring this curve to every track. I normally have this plugin on, you know, 0 every time I bring my orchestral master channel preset layout to every track. But in this track, in the note A, so I've used the FAF filters you know, key roll here, because the note A was really resonating specifically at the orchestral chorus and the orchestral section with the band, and although some of the, you know, a lot of the instruments are playing A3 and A2, the resonance of A4 was the you know, the most annoying. So I've just put a dynamic EQ only on A4, very narrow, to kind of, you know, take that out. So let's say, for example, if I play this, so it's just that frequency that annoyed me, and a little bit off a shelf. Then I've got an internal multiband, so this is not being triggered from everything outside, as you can see, internal. These are normally the setting I have for an internal. It's very minimized. I don't like to compress my orchestra at all. This is just to do some control. Like if I was doing just a plain orchestral track, I might even put the mix here on 50. Now the, you know, the juicy stuff is these. So these are being triggered from the band. So I've got a track spacer being triggered from the band, ducking everything below 4K. The reason is a lot of the orchestral, you know, airy frequency are above 4K, and I don't want the band to interfere with that. I just want the band to interfere with the rest. So the band is ducking the orchestra when needed on everything below at 5%, and these are the settings that I'm used. So this is how would this look like, for example. Let's say the chorus again. On top of that, this is a multi-band compressor being triggered by the band as well. You've got these three only on mid, and the reason why is because most of the band's frequencies in these ranges are in the mid, they're not on the side. A lot of the orchestra, the horn, violin, the choir, a lot of this stuff is actually on the sides, and you don't want to like lose the body of those sections entirely. So if you just, you know, put it on the mid, you will not. Thank you, Rise for Dip, for the follow. And by the way, thank you everybody who followed. And I've got Bonnie, Sleepless, I think, and Rise for Dip. She's much appreciated for the follow. I hope you're enjoying this. I know it could be not the same genre or a lot of the genre, because Niz does a lot of genres on his channel. But I hope this is something this is something you can get some value of. Yes, absolutely, and feel free to ask me like any question, Rise, anything. By the way, I'm not like a professional mixer. I don't mix for clients. I only mix for myself. So so yeah, if you have any questions or anything, let me know. And if there's something you didn't like in the process, you can call me out on it. Absolutely fine. Baz was saying this is as you can see set to external, so this is nothing internal is being triggering this. This is only coming from the band. These three are on mid. A lot of them are the attack is very quick because I want the band to take out the frequency that it needs as soon as possible, and maybe not let go that fast, right? So if there's a sustained guitar, sustained bass, I want it to keep eating from the orchestra the frequencies it needs. These are not set on mid because normally the build up is on the side. Like here's where the guitars are, and the guitars are panned left and right. So I don't need them on mid. And this is how would this react in a playing environment. So as you can see, the band is making this move in the orchestra. Now the other thing is that on the production master, which all of the production elements sends to, there's the same movement, but this is being triggered by the orchestra and the band together, right? So the hierarchy of my mixes is band first, then orchestra, then production, and the band is always the protagonist, unless like I choose so. And then the orchestra, and then the production stuff. And when I say by production stuff, I'm talking synths, explosions, alarms, I don't know, some other stuff, risers, things like that are what I call production. And you'll see how I route these in a second. So this is being triggered. These two by the orchestra and the band are eating away what they need from the production. Right. Now all of these three, and with the scene master, I don't have anything on it. All of these are going to the mix bus, which have low cut at 30. I don't need anything under 30 because there is a lot of it from the bass drops and the explosions and all of the low bass and the kick, and there's a lot of build already, so I just need to cut that out anyway, and we don't hear under 20 hertz anyway, so I find this cleans the session. This is for the snare, this is to duck the snare, and normally I gain stage the entire mix to this using this pre-gain on Cubase. So I put all of the masses at -18, as you can see, and then I'll increase this depending. I want to see the snare ducking the entire mix by 1 or 2 dB. So if you see how this reacts, I want the snare just to do that 1 or 2 dB of ducking, like even if we go to a section like this. That's exactly the effect I want. Then I've got Golfos. This is a set it and forget it. As I said before, I took this setting from Nolly. This is something I play around with every mix. I see which distortion fits this mix. It's just a distortion, like an analog emulation unit, and most of the time I put this at 2 dBs, between 2 and 3. With this track, by the way, this track is released, right? This track, I've sent it to release. It will be released 19th of March. It is on SoundCloud. We've just played it on this stream, but it will be released 19th of March. But normally after I send something for release, I do a mix unboxing session. Right, so the mix bus is going, that's all on what's on the mix bus, is going everything to my glue compressor, which is the SSL, and what I want to see on this is the needle just hovering, no more no less. So that's exactly the right amount. Then max bass, this is also a set it and forget it thing I have. It just basically replicates this blue frequency and puts it in the orange. You give feedback mixing. I've been trying to learn how to mix metal for a while. Never figured out how to get the right mix, even when I'm comparing my tracks, popular metal tracks. And asking as I don't know, actually I have a mixed track. Yes, yes, for sure. To be honest with you, I think the best way is just to check the way I mix, like to check, because everything's documented on YouTube. Like these videos, I'm live on YouTube right now as well, and all of these, everything you're watching is gonna be forever on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find it, and I tidy everything up in playlists, so you can go to a track and see me see all of the streams that I worked on that track, from creation to mixing to all of that, and you can see everything I've done, from gain staging, how I gain staged it, how I mixed it, where do I start, what things what are the levels I put. You know, you can just see what I do. Yeah, you can keep rewatching it forever. Yeah, just I mean, everything's there. And please know that I am, again, I don't mix for other bands, I only mix for myself. And so meaning, what I'm trying to say is that I'm not like a professional guy, you know. But if you like the sound you're hearing and you want to achieve something like this, then of course, yeah, just feel free. And you know, I'm gonna, like, in this stream, I'm gonna unbox the entire track, so stick around and see like what I've done. But if you want to see it how it's done, like as is, like while I'm doing it, I do all of this live, and you will see from the playlists when you go to YouTube from the stream. So yeah, the next track I mix, I mean, if you're here, you can see how I mix it, and I fuck up a lot. Like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, this track drove me nuts. I was pulling my hair like for an entire week, and I had to remix it 7 times. And this is why I'm doing an update. But because of this experience, now I know what to do and what not to do for the next track. But yeah, so absolutely. All right, so max bass, you know, takes the frequencies from this, obviously, as it says, original bass, and it adds another harmonic replica in these, you know, a little bit higher. You can see 250, 128, just so that you can hear it on like smaller speakers and jam boxes and stuff. After that, we have a virtual mix rack. This is on master mode, so this is the mastering session settings for this plugin. Then you've got linear phase multiband, and the reason why this is on -3 dB, because there's a certain movement I like to see here. So when I load my mastering chain preset every mix, when I say preset, I'm talking about the entire chain. Normally this is on 0, but if you put this on 0, I mean, this will go insane. We're touching -6, which I don't want. So I have pulled back about 3 dB just to kind of, because I want to see this moving in the way that I like. Normally, one thing is that this, when I load my chain, this is on -1, but I found it damaging for this track, so I've put it on 0. So this is kind of like a proof that even if you have, you know, the settings that you like and you bring with you every mix, you cannot just set it and forget it. So that's then, and then after that we have got this is a set it, forget it, EQ, because there is nothing dramatic going on unless I want to do something extra to the mix. But this is a little bit of mid being taken out, and low cut on the sides. Very basic, I think very basic modern metal type of thing to put on your master bus. Soothe, and then this, I normally turn this off and leave it for a final move, right? So normally this is set on 12K, but I was doing some Twitch feedbacks and 2 guys told me you're missing some 10K, so I just pulled it back. And yeah, this is on 1 dB. Normally I have shimmer in about like 3, but for this track I found it too much. Ozone, so this is where I do the referencing, so match EQ. So I have here some of my tracks, so this is my tracks, this is my track. So normally first I start referencing my track, so I EQ match my older tracks with my current track to understand what am I missing, right? And here, if you go here and you go to 70, for example, you can see that I was missing a lot of mids, and some highs, and there's a lot of build up here. And normally what I like to do is try to compensate that either in the mix, like go back, like for example, this area here is probably guitars, right? This area here is probably kick drum, like metal kick drum. So you can either go there and fix it, and I probably did, but I left the curve like this. And you can also compensate it, like as you can see, this EQ here, I'm replicating a lot of the stuff that this is suggesting. And this is mainly referencing my other tracks. So Royal Armature Unleash is a track is already on Spotify, and Starry Night. And then I've got some of like my favorite mixes. Some of them don't match. Like if you go to Collateral Damage, this is such a bassy mix. It's just referencing it is a little bit like, it will give you really off results. I think it's just because it's a bassy mix, doesn't fit this track. So I think this is how this sounds. Right, so it's I didn't really use it. I mainly, as you can see, it was set on Royal Armature, which is my track, just to kind of see what I'm missing. And then I compensate with this EQ, or you would go, it's better if you go to the track. So with this one, knowing this dip, I would have definitely went to the kick and just sorted this out. And then an exciter, this is normally the setting I have. Maximizer, this is normally the setting I have. Obviously the threshold I put depending on the song. And yeah, that's my mastering chain. So let's go now to the drums, because that's normally how I mix. I start with the drums. So let's go to a section that has some drums here. Fantastic. So on the, should we start from the, yeah, let's start from the drum master so you can understand what's happening. So all of the drum channels are sent to drum master, that is sent to the band master. The drum master has BG drums. This is a drum compressor, like a drum bus compressor. You can choose the settings depending on the track. This track has very fast drums, so I cannot put it on fat or boom, because it's a you know, it has a lot of fast sections and it's a very tight drums. Let's put it on tight. Normally on this I like to see about minus, you know, the minus 3 dB rule, and I put it in parallel. So on this mix, sometimes I put it at 100. Actually, a lot of the times I put it on 100, but in this mix I found it too much and I've put it on 50. And then after that, another parallel compression. This is literally on 1% because of how aggressive this compressor is, and I've put compression to 100. Like this is should be crushing the drums, and on hard mode. And this is on the bus. So this is a drums, like a metal or rock drums compressor, and I have it on bus mode. And this, let's see how many dBs I'm. So about -4. Yeah, and I'm blending it in, but because it's very aggressive, I just found like one is enough. After that, I had a virtual mix track, but I'm not using it. I think, yes, I think this is because this is normally another option I have for parallel compression, but I didn't like this, so I opted for my other two. Normally, by the way, I don't have all three. I would have two of them, but this is a setting I always have. As you can see, it's from Nolly. I always try an A-B. On the previous track, this was doing the parallel compression. Not, I think it wasn't the second, that wasn't DF comp. But on this track, I didn't like what this was doing, so I ended up with the other two. EQ wise, let's see what we've got here. It's just a low cut, and then soothe. I use soothe a lot. This is, I think, for the cymbals mainly. Let's go kick and snare. So kick, I was using initially Superior Drummer's kick, but then I muted that and I've started using the middle tone drums kick. I don't know if I've done some adjustments. Let me see. I hope the session doesn't close because it's already a megabyte. Here we go. It started to lag a little bit, but oh, look, I'm just gonna show you how it looks like because the IPC is starting to play it. But this is how it looks like, and I've duplicated it. I've put it on Omni. One is doing only the kick, one is doing the snare, but triggered from the same MIDI. I'm just gonna let go because you can hear that crackle thing. Okay, so kick. Let's do kick first. It has a clipper. Normally I have a clipper on all of the drum shells, except I think for the overheads. I think there's an EQ here. This is to trim the double bass, the fast sections. Some click. I probably didn't like the attack here. Here 3.5, 3K normally is a bit more meaty rather than clicky. Where are we? Here. And I've used DF comp on quick mode, probably minus 3 dBs. Obviously this mix on top on 100%. And R bass. This is a set it and forget it thing I have in every kick. I normally just play with the intensity depending on what kick source I have for the track, but the rest, like the frequency 80, gain. This is just for if you've got an automation on the kick and you don't want to change the automation, but you want to reduce the entire kick, you normally just pull this up, and then the entire channel will get reduced by a dB or something. Yeah, so R bass, and then after that, this is probably like a mastering final edition. I've just added like 0.28. What? This is nonsense. I don't know. I've added 0.28. That's silly. But by the way, gain obviously. This is how the kick sounds like. Snare. Same thing, we've got a clipper and then DF comp on snare, probably reducing about 3 dBs. Yeah. And then we've got an EQ. So this is here is just adding some punch to the fundamental, but then removing some low end, a specific resonance, and a lot of frequencies up to I think 151. And then this is just to remove the boxiness, attack, probably annoying frequency. And then we've got, let's see, distortion. This is to kind of trim the attack and not make it very what's the word, it's not punchy but very pokey, basically to soften the transient and to put some harmonics on it. So I will show you with and without. See, like without it is very harsh, but with it it's a little bit softer. And then I do have a virtual mix rack. Let's see what we're doing here. Okay, so just a little bit of high end and another saturation. Yeah, this snare was the transient was very harsh, and I've put here a transient designer as well. And I think I'm putting the attack. The attack is at 0, and the sustain. So I'm increasing the sustain just to get a little bit of a body after the hit on medium. Okay, this is getting the fundamentals, so this kind of, I think I put this for the blast beats here. Yeah, and that's it. This is the snare. Obviously, some of the snare is you can hear it in the room, and there is a snare reverb as well, which I didn't go to. My snare reverb is this, and there is a little bit of an EQ on it, also on the fundamental. And normally I have this compressor on it, but I didn't like it for this track because it was really cutting the reverb short, so I bypassed it. But that's on the snare bus. And then these kick and snare I'm not using. These were the ones that came from Superior Drummer, but I just didn't. I fought them so hard and I just didn't like it. Toms, I'm just gonna show you one because all of the toms are the same, so there's no point. So let's go rack tom 1. I've got a clipper as well on my shells. I like to clip to gain stage. And then this is the same on every tom, but every tom is shifted downwards. So rack tom is going to be the highest and floor tom 3 is going to be the lowest. Attack, increasing attack, removing wood, controlling some of the, you know, boxy section, and then cleaning any unnecessarily sub. Compressor on the rock tom and on each one of them. And then I use Saturn. I love this on toms, and I put this to taste, and I'm trying to listen for the click and how pokey it is, and I just wanted to soften it with some warm tape distortion. So I've just normally I increase this to 100 and start pulling it back until I can hear the original sound of the tom, but at the same time the stick attack is not very woody or annoying. The same is for all the toms, so just there's no point going through that. The hats, when I gain stage for the hats and for the overheads and the room, I use a limiter instead of a clipper. So you've got this for gain staging. EQ, I mean, it's probably just to fix some, probably this is an annoying frequency. This is something interesting, is that normally, because the overheads that I get normally are very harsh and very bright, normally I do the opposite of this move. Normally I pull down either dynamically or statically a lot of, you know, the body of the cymbals. But for this session, I don't know, I felt like the entire overheads, hi-hats or rides and everything didn't have a lot of, didn't have the high end needed, or the low mid, the high mid needed, so I actually had to add some, but then I still took out some bits here. This is in the hi-hats, we're still DF comms, put on hi-hats, on overhead settings, virtual mix rack, some shimmer, compressor, and some gain staging here. Soothe, this is the Nolly's preset for overheads in general. Overhead is pretty identical. I think the only difference, let me just show you the graph. So this is the graph. See how much high end and high mid this session needed on the overheads. It's really normally the opposite of what I do, but it shows you that sometimes you need to do what you need to do. This is I'm using Smash and Grab by from GGD. Put it on overhead mode, on grab mode. And I'm not I'm just, I think, compressing by 3 dB, so let's go. Oh, definitely not 3 dB. But yeah, I'm not using the F comp here. Probably like the tone on Smash and Grab. Transient Designer, this normally I put on every track I have. I just like to hear a lot of like attack from the cymbals, especially when there's like a hard crash or a china or a breakdown. I like to hear like a very nasty attack from the overhead, so I increase. And as you can see, well, not this one, I'm only doing it for the mid and low mids, and that's it. What else? This is the same setting as I have on the hats. Just soothe. And then another Transient Designer for the same effect that I was talking about, like that harsh, like I'm not sure. Let me solo these. No, sorry. That very attacky, very sharp type of stick attack I love. So I've added the Transient Designer there. This drum room doesn't have overheads, which is the first time I use a drum room without overheads. So this came from the Superior Drummers 3 Metal Machinery. I've loaded the all-rounder preset, and I was writing the song with that. And then the kit stayed with me into mixing, but I've only replaced the kick and the and the snare, as I said. And this room came with only the shells. It didn't come with the overheads. So this is the room by itself. That actually should have gave me the opportunity to squash the living hell out of the room, but I don't think I ended up doing so. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't squash every single, because squashed rooms, especially with no overheads, like really squashed room blended in with a kit, fucking hell, that could have sounded really aggressive. I didn't do that, I don't know why. I just want to show the toms group. So all of these toms are going to this toms group first before they go to the drum master. So I've got the same compressor I have on the drum master, but I've got this on fat this time for the toms, and I've got the mix on 100%. And then this is like it comes all the time in my toms group preset, and most of it is for this band. So let me play a section where there is some toms. Yeah, did you hear it? So it's just to tame this a little bit. And then I've got this plugin from Waves, the particle plugins. I have this normally on the toms all the time, but it's bypassed, and I turn it on whenever I need. So I've got some bite and some thickness on it. I think this is on 6 and this is on, yeah, it was on 5. I just made it 5.1 by mistake. So this is always on my toms. I love you know, the sound it makes on toms. I've put this on sharp and I've lowered the sustain because some of these let me solo the toms so you can understand what I'm saying. Some of these hits are ringing a lot. And some, especially the low ones. So if I go to this section, for example, I mean, normally this is ringing a lot. So I've put it on sharp and I've reduced the sustain by 4 dBs. Yeah. Sorry guys, 1 second. I just need to answer the door. 1 minute. I'm just gonna play the song from the beginning. And I'll be there in 1 second. 1 second. Oh, I have the tom soloed. Let me do that again. Okay, fantastic. Right, so this is why I've put this is saying down, just to kind of like reduce some of that ring. So this is the drums. All right, let's move to guitars. Guitars, okay, so this is interesting. Guitars, I have multiple tones for different sections. So you've got the main tone here, and I'll go through each one, is playing on the intro riff and in the chorus. This is where the main tone is being played. What I call the percussive tone, and you'll see what I mean. I normally like this type of tone, like similar to the last track I've done. That's what I call a percussive guitar tone. I have it in the verse. Then you've got the breakdown riff. Then you've got when I say the breakdown riff, I mean the riff to build up, the build-up riff basically, and then the actual breakdown guitar tone, and then the outro guitar tone. Now, for those who don't know, I'm pretty sure this could be common sense for people who record guitars, but for those who doesn't, especially, you know, if you're still here from Niz's stream, you would record, this is like industry standard, you record the same section twice, once on the left, once on the right, to get that stereo image. This is like has been done since billion years. This is normally how you record guitars, is you record the same section on the left and then on the right, if you want to get like the same, you know, one track. Unless you're doing otherwise intentionally, right? So if you're intentionally not doing this because of creative reasons, then yes, of course. But the regular, you know, chorus, like this sound, for example, is achieved. So this is me recording the same section, once on the left, one. As you can see, the DI is different, right? So what I've done for this track in terms of guitar tone, so I've got first the DI. This is playing underneath everything. This is how the DI sounds like. And I use the DI because there's a lot of heavy tunings and a lot of like it's not very technical, but a lot of like, you know, palm muting and like triplets and stuff like that. I like in songs like this to keep the DI and use it as an underlayer to emphasize the note, so that you can understand what note I'm playing through all of the distortion, you know. And normally I put a trick on the DIs. So these are here. If you look here, this is the DIs, and what I do, I put ironically, I put a bass amp, right? And I am here on the Greyhound, I think, from Cubase's standard bass amp thing. It sounds really, I'm looking for something really slinky, you know, because I want those notes to, you know, poke in through the distortion. So I'm using this one. This is how the actual DI sounds like without anything, right? So with it, see, it's very more slinky type of thing. Then I have a setting here. I normally don't. This is one thing about this trick that I normally do. I don't normally use like Slate's presets, but this acoustic guitar shimmery really works with it. And I'm using it, you know, to compress the living hell out of it and add some high ends. As you can see, all of these have asterisk on them, so I probably changed a lot here. Maybe this is, I don't know how this shows up when it's loaded normally, but I've changed a lot here. Thickness is to max. I mean, yeah. So that's on the group. And so you can understand this layout. So you've got every tone goes to a group. So the black ones are groups here. So every tone is going to a group. See? Tone group, tone group, tone group. And all of the groups are going to a guitar master. So the guitar master channel. The guitar master channel is joining the drum master channel in the band master, right? So we have a band master that has drums, bass, guitar. So all of these tones, they have groups separately, right? So DI going here. On the group of the DI, we have the virtual mix track I showed you. Then we have a JW guitar limiter. Then we have the BG guitar compressor. I'm just looking at Smash. Okay, interesting. I can't remember why I've put it on Smash. Normally I'll have it on Clamp. It's very interesting that I've done that. Can't remember why. But anyway, JST BG guitar compressor straight after. And then an EQ, which is normally just to tame the low end, really. And this is how the DI sounds like. Now, if you put this with the actual tone, see, you can now hear the note, right? And if you put it in with the mix, let me just unmute it. So this DI, as you can see, it's underneath every single tone, right? It's underneath this tone, this tone, this tone, this tone. All of the tones have the DI underneath them. Same settings. I think there's some automation here. Let me see. Yes, I am doing so. In the verse, the DI is going up, and then in the mutes... No, sorry, in the chorus. So what am I automating here? Okay. So I'm automating the palm mutes. So this dun, dun, dun. And I think the same I must have done on the rhythm group. Yeah, exact same setting. Just to make that kind of, you know, riff juice, I think I would call it. I like that. I think, to be honest with you, I know there's a lot of like cool riffs here I've done, but the chorus riff is, I don't know, I really like it. Anyway, let's go through the tones one by one. So the rhythm tone, this blue one, this dark blue one, is made from two tones. So a fusion, a marriage of two tone. So the first tone is so okay, let's talk about the EQ here. So this I normally have as a pedal before the amp, right? So we have left and right Gojira and left and right Nameless, right? So this normally I have before the DI goes to the amp as a pedal, and I have it on, I think, on all of them. I think I have this on every single thing, every single guitar. Then these two, which is the left and right, by themselves they sound like this. And then this tone by itself sounds like this. So this is very subby, obviously. And together both they sound like this. And the settings on this, I mean, I can show you, you can steal the settings, nothing really crazy. So I'm using, for the first half of the tone, I'm using Gojira. Obviously my PC is getting fucked. So I'm using Gojira. Obviously this is the name of my track, One Final Act on the Brink of Despair, main rhythm new. But these are the settings. So there's nothing here. I don't have an overdrive. I'm just getting the overdrive from the amp. I'm using the 57, and yeah, I don't think I'm EQing anything here. Yeah, very, very kind of plainy, a lot of presence. Yeah, so that's the first tone, and I think this is, yeah, the cap is activated. This pi thing is just basically to phase match both tones so they don't get fucked. When you have two guitar tones, I like to put PI or pi or auto align just to make sure there is no phase issues between the same tone, between different tones. The second tone, which is the subby one, this is Fortin Nameless, and here I'm just using the amp. I'm not using the cab. I am using the same cab from the other tone. So I've duplicated the Gojira from the other tone. I've turned off the amp. Here it is, loaded. Here it is. Right, so I've turned off the amps and just left the cab. I've turned the cab here, so now you can see that the signal is going through this amp and then carrying on here, because this section, which is the cab, I wanted it to match what's happening on the other tone, right? So they both have the same cab, but they have different amp, which creates some kind of a cohesion between both of them. So they're both going through the same cab. And I think this is literally default setting. Nothing is changed on the Fortin other than me turning these off and maybe the gate, I don't know. And that's it. This is on this track. On the group of them, I have a limiter which is doing nothing. This is normally I put it for gain stage, but I think this was already gain staged properly. A lot of reduction EQ. There isn't a single thing being increased here. A lot of like treatment, you know, low end multi-band for palm mutes and all of that stuff. As you can see, there's literally nothing being added here. It's all being taken away. The addition is happening later. Guitar compressor on tame, bright, less harm. I think minus guitars. I don't like to compress a lot to 3 dB. I like to compress 1.5. I only have these activated. Let me put these. About 1.5. I don't like... guitars are already compressed by distortion. I don't see the point. And then this. So I have two EQs here. This is where the addition is happening. So I'm adding... let's see, about 3.5, a shelf. This is a bell, I think. And what else? And that's it. I think a little bit of low end here, not even noticeable. About 200. Yes, about 200 exactly. Another shelf here. I like this on guitars, but sometimes it can become very harsh. This is a little bit more delicate, I find. This is a little bit harsher. So this is probably more of, maybe I've probably added this at the mastering phase. I really can't remember. But a lot of additions. So the addition I'm doing here. I'm doing the subtraction in the Pro Q and a little bit of shimmer. Let me remove this. And remove this. Where are we? Oh, we're here. And then I've got this Trans X. I have this all the time on every track I've done since I've discovered this. Obviously, I don't know before. I don't know what's the first track I've discovered this in, but you can guarantee the last 5 tracks definitely have this on the Trans X, and these are the settings. The only thing I changed probably the trim here, and this is basically to catch the attacks of palm mutes and chugs and do a massive increase just for the snippet, just for the initial snippet of the attack, so you can get a very attacky chugs. But more necessarily than this is for it to poke through everything else happening and gel with the kick. So I have this. You wouldn't find me having this on like lead stuff, but I have this on chugs. Anything that has chugs in it or rhythm and stuff like that, I have this all the time on same settings. And I learned I learned this from Andrew Wade. If you don't know Andrew Wade, he does The Ghost Inside, A Day to Remember, a lot of like post-hardcore bands, and metalcore bands. As you can see, I have Soothe as well on the guitars. Now we move to the percussive guitars. Percussive guitars are here. Also, they have a DI underneath them, and this is how they sound. So also it's made up of 2 tones. The first tone is way more percussive than the second one, and this is why I needed the second one. So this is the first tone. So this tone I like because it has the Fortin. Come on, load up. Yeah, the grind pedal, and this is the one that I use all the time whenever I have a track that has a lot of like percussive chokes, not palm mutes. I use grind because it creates such a nice choke effect, but it takes a lot of low end out, right? So and I needed the low end especially for this run. No, where is the run? Here is the run. This da 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 da. When I wrote this, I imagined it to be bassy, and this is why I added the second tone so that I have both. So as you can see, the percussive one, as I showed you, it has the grind pedal running to what? It's running to also Gojira X, and I think it's the same setting as the typical rhythm guitars. No, this is Tekken Tight, but I can't remember who does Tekken Tight. This guy. I don't know who this guy is or this band. Apologies. But as you can see, it's edited. Probably the input and output normally is why I edit. Something here I probably edited. I can't remember exactly. Maybe he's got distortion on and turned it off. But that's the first half of the percussive tone. The second half sounds like this. So as you can see, this also have the Fortin Nameless Suite here, but I'm only using it here for the gate, nothing else. These two are off, and for the actual tone, I'm using dun dun dun. Let it load. Gojira, but here I've got the octave pedal, and this is what's making it a little bit more basic, because I have the lower octave one on and a little bit of double lower octave 2, but I have the direct level on max, so that I get the least amount of octave effect, but I still have enough to compensate. Now blending this octave one with the other one gives you, so you can hear the from the first one, but you can hear also how bassy it is from the second one. On the chain of their group, Got this. As you can see, there's a disaster of an EQ happening here, and this is a section where I have a little bit of an increase. So this is off. I don't need this. I'm not gonna remove it because just because, you know, I want to keep this saved as is. But this is on, and the rest is all reductive EQ. Probably a lot of like frequencies I didn't like. And then after that, same thing. So it's very similar to the other guitar group. And then virtual mix rack. So again, very similar. As you can see, I don't have the other EQ here. I'm doing the additions here. I'm only doing addition on about 3.2. And then trans X as well. This, especially for this section, this gives a lot of attack for the percussive bit. Got soothe. And you've got Pro Q again, taking out some shit here. It's probably while I was mastering it. This is, it looks like a post mix move. All right, guitar breakdown. Let's go here. So this is the guitar breakdown. This is how it sounds like. Oh no, this is not how it sounds like. This is how it sounds like. This is the breakdown riff, which means the, like the build up riff. Okay, so obviously you've got the DI playing with this, but this has two tones as well, and they're very unique. I've got it frozen. I'm not sure if I want to unfreeze it because it might fuck up the session. Alright, well, soloing stuff, so it should be fine. I'm gonna unfreeze this because I want to document what the tone was. Okay, so I've just unfrozen these, so let's see the chain here. I've got this, as I said, this I use as like a pedal before the guitar amp. And for the first tone, I'm using Rabia's amp, and I think I've loaded this Strat Chunks preset and I've played with it. What did I do here? I've added a compressor and overdrive. Maybe some of these were added and I played with them. I added this preset while I was writing, so there's no way I will remember what I added, whatnot. Maybe I've added... Maybe this had time stuff and I removed them. I can't remember. But this is the setting I ended up with. And this is how this sounds like by itself. So this is only adding like a lot of attack, but again, a lot of like meat. And then you've got this one, I think also Rabia. And I am using the Fear Me preset. But I think the Fear Me preset comes with a transpose down. I've put it back to what it was. And I think I've put the tight up to the max. Probably played around with these as well. And I think I've also... Oh no. Why did I think I've engaged the octaver here? I can't remember. Anyway, but... yeah, that's pretty much the settings I've used for this, and this sounds by itself like this. So together they sound like this. Right. Let's see what I'm doing for the EQ. I'm doing something interesting. I've never done this before. Obviously, I've done a lot this on every single guitar track, but I've done here kind of like an expand frequencies just to kind of make it a little bit more effecty, because this riff has, you know, I don't mind it being a little bit more effecty because it's kind of like a build up. It's like an aesthetic riff and like a you know, a section riff, not more than like a performance riff. I mean, this is the section that this riff plays in. And watch the EQ, what it does. So the reason why I've done that, because I wanted this riff to sound very more on the subby side, more on the low end side, more on the meaty side, without it being, I didn't care about really clarity, but then without this it was being really unclear. So I've just added this dynamic one where it just every time you know, those frequencies are let's say getting to a point where they're loud, it increases them even more, because it's probably telling the dynamic band that this is where my presence is, increase me, you know. And I found these 2 points and I've just increased them. And here I've also added, but it's turned off. I think I've tried to add a little bit more thickness but reduce it at the same time, but I didn't like it then, so I've just turned this off. But yeah, this is how I achieved that tone. Do I have anything after? Yes, I've got the same type of shit. So I've got, it's literally after, I'm not sure if I'm just gonna go through it quickly because it's the same chain as the rest of the guitars. Yeah, increase, decrease a little bit from here, which is interesting. Trans X again, and soothe. Let me see if there's anything else. Come on, go down. No, it's just soothe. Yes, and then let me just check something. I just want to see something very quick. Sorry, 1 second. All right, cool. Yeah, so let's now go through the breakdown riff. So this is how the breakdown riff sounds like altogether. So this is the guitar tone. As you can hear, it's a no mercy type of guitar tone. Now, one interesting thing is that I will show, as I'm gonna show you what this guitar tone is made of, this has a little bit of a pitch shifter and a falsetto type of setting, but the DI playing underneath it is still the original DI, just to give the note clarity. As you can see, it's the still same DI. So I didn't pitch shift this to match this. I've just left it as is. Yeah. Now these two were also frozen. I'm gonna unfreeze them. And I'm gonna save just in case we crash. EQ, same thing. You've seen this 16,000 times now. I have loaded... this is just for the whammy effect. So this is for... I think there is one... just for that. It's for that, really. I have... sorry, where is the guitar tone itself? Oh yeah, and then I've got this, and I'll show you what the Fortin is doing in a minute. But this is where the guitar tone is coming from, so let's start. So I have this fatso, not falsetto, fatso setting up. And I think this is on mix and max. I've used, as you can see, I've used this in my previous track, so I've just loaded this back. Might have played around with the octaver, because it's a different tuning. But this RAU, meaning Royal Armature Unleashed. And this is how it sounds like here. So this is the octaver. If I remove the octaver, with it is thicker. If I remove this fatso, see, it adds like another lower layer. I probably reduced the mix as well. Here we have an overdrive. These are the settings. Yeah, same settings as as I spoke about in the last track. Now, something interesting here is happening is that the pedal, this one, is bypassed, but it gets activated whenever there is these mutes here. So look, pay attention. So literally just for that section, that pedal turns on. And that is the guitar, the breakdown guitar tone. I'm just gonna here go through the EQ and the virtual mix rack because the rest is the same. You've seen this like 60,000 times today. Again, a lot of the deductive AQ, a little bit of an increase here, and probably because I reduced a lot. As you can see, there's a lot of reduction going on here. And then on the virtual mix racks, probably where I'm doing some addition. Yes, right here, and right here, and shimmer. The rest is the same. You've seen it. Right, last guitar tone. Last guitar tone. Na. So I've got the outro guitar tone, which sounds like this.
Oh no.
Well, it's lagging, so it's fine. Let me show you how it sounds like by itself. Because I unfreeze stuff. I mean, normally I keep a lot of stuff frozen so that my PC can handle it. But as I'm unfreezing to show you what's going on in the track, my PC gets fucked. Okay, I know it's lagging here, but I want you to hear this bit because something different happens here. It's not gonna show. I will unfreeze this very bravely because I want to show it, but I'm not gonna play as I unfreeze. Maybe I'll do a snippet of each tone. Because my PC is probably gonna have a meltdown right now. So for the first tone, as you can see, this is made up also of two tones. The first one is this archetype Tosin. Or is this John Petrucci? No, this is Abbasi. This is Tosin. Why did I label it John Petrucci? What an idiot. It's Tosin, not John Petrucci. And this is how it sounds like by itself. I hope it doesn't crash. It's not gonna play anything. Yeah, it doesn't like it. Not gonna play it. See? Yes, it doesn't like it. I need to freeze other stuff, but I'm not gonna spend time freezing stuff. Alright, no worries. Let's freeze these because we actually went through them. I'm gonna freeze all of this here. And the DI as well. Let's freeze them. While this is getting frozen, anybody has any questions or any discussions or something fun we can talk about? Alright, let's see. Might take a minute. I think while that happens, we can listen to the entire track properly. Maybe on Edge. Would I dare to open Edge right now? Right. Alright, let's try to play it. I'm gonna mute this and play this. I don't know if this is gonna fuck my system, but let's see. appreciate it. So the artwork is basically, so the way I write music, and you will see maybe in the next track, is that I will imagine a scene and I'll get an artwork for that scene. Either if the scene I'm imagining, like let's say from a game or from a show or something, I'll start writing to that scene in mind. Or if it's not somewhere that I've thought about before, like I've seen before, but I've thought about, I'll try to generate it on AI or something like that, and I will write this track to it. And once it's done, what I normally do is I'll generate one on AI, and then I'll take it to an editor on Fiverr, and then we will keep, me and my editor will keep the stuff that we like. We'll change everything. So the stuff that was on the original artwork from this, the one that got generated from AI, is this guy and this guy. All of these buildings and the street and the car on fire and all of that stuff is his work. This is he done. But the scenery and the foundation, is from what I prompted on AI. But the rest, the building, the stuff is his work. And basically, what I was imagining first is I wanted kind of an unfair confrontation scene where I wanted to write a courageous melody where something bad is happening, but it's like sad but positive, and those type of melodies, the ones that give you kind of hope. Like it's in a minor key, but at the same time it has a little bit of happiness in it. And this is why I'm not sure if you've noticed or picked it up, but the verse is written in minor, in D minor, but the chorus is written in harmonic minor. However, there is one note that differs D minor and D harmonic minor, which is C. So D minor has C, and D harmonic minor has C sharp. But what I've done in the chorus is that I've put both notes as a chromatic. So there is that. So the initial bit of the chorus, this is a chromatic run from D to C sharp. To C. So D, C sharp, C is that how it goes. And this is kind of to emphasize that I'm kind of like fusing both of the scales that I was before on the chorus, and to kind of give that like hopeful sense. So yeah, I was challenging myself to write something courageous, and normally courageous means a sad melody with a happy twist is what makes a courageous melody. And yeah, so that's kind of like why I was trying to prompt a scenery like this. Yeah, this the actual scene in the song that it's finally over, all of that, that was one of the last minute additions to the writing process. But I wanted to add like a twist to it, that something happened. In that scene, I was also contemplating getting like helicopter sounds and stuff and place them in a way where, like when he says, oh, before he says, oh no, or after he says, oh no, like a sounds of a helicopter getting, falling down from the sky and exploding or something like that, just to kind of, design a scene that something happened. Or that this guy woke up again after the great defeat, or something like that, depending on your imagination, on the imagination of the listener. But yeah, that's kind of the story of, or the kind of premise of this track. But normally I leave stuff vague so that you can imagine what the story is. All what you have is the title of the track that normally gives a clue about the what's going on, the artwork, and the actual song. And I like the listener to use these three elements to imagine something. You know, so you've got the name, the artwork, and the actual obviously music. And yeah, that's kind of how it is. But yeah, thank you for asking. Sorry, I went on a I waffled a little bit there, but it got us to freeze all of these tracks. That's fantastic. All right, so let's go to the outro guitars. Cool. So the outro guitars are Tosin. Let's see if it's gonna work now after I froze the stuff. Fantastic. Okay, so let's unsolo everything and just solo Abasi. And for those who don't understand what I mean freeze, I don't know what DAW you guys use, but in the Cubase and a few other DAWs, you can freeze tracks. So you've got multiple ways to handle CPUs. As you can see, I have 190 tracks here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And these are audio. Before, these were MIDI contact players, you know, when I was composing it. So how do you handle this? Well, in the writing process, in Kontakt libraries, you can purge the library. And if you ever join my writing session, you'll see me purging all the libraries, meaning that Kontakt will remove all of the samples in that library, but only load the ones you composed and the articulations you composed, and this will bring the thing down. And then after I write all of the track, another way to, you know, make the PC handle is to convert all of the MIDI to audio, because obviously, you know, everything's static now. Another way is to disable all of the MIDI stuff that you had and put them. Normally, I have something called a disabled folder here, and I leave it here with all of the MIDI stuff that's disabled. But this track got so big to a point where I had to even delete that. Right now, the fourth way to save some processing is to freeze the track. Freezing the track meaning that Cubase will play the song from start to finish, will understand all of the processing you have on this on this track, and it will just save it as a snippet inside the system, but will disable all the effects. See, now I cannot access any of these effects because I froze them. I don't need them. But now I have way more capacity. So you can imagine if you work in a big project, you can freeze the band when you're working on an orchestra, but then you can freeze the orchestra when you're working on the band. And this will allow you to kind of, first it will limit you so you're not tweaking a lot of stuff at the same time. And you know, it'll save a lot of CPU and RAM. And whenever you wanna like get something unfrozen, it's very easy. It's way faster than freezing because you're just deleting the frozen file. So if I wanna like unfreeze this, it's in an instant. It's not it doesn't take as long as freezing. So this is what we've just done. We froze all of the guitar tones except this one, because as you can see, my PC was crashing. So the first tone within the outro tone is the Abasi. And then the second one, I think I have Rabia, if I'm not wrong. Yes, I do have Rabia, and I do have an octaver. I think I've crafted this tone starting from the spank neck preset. I've put an octaver, I've put it on modern. What did I do here? Tight on max because of this bit here. The chokes. Yeah, and so this is the second tone, and together they sound like this. So one, this is the second, together. In terms of processing, same thing. I'm just gonna show you the EQ and virtual mix rack because you've seen the other two. Okay, so here I've got dynamic multiband on, dynamic EQ on both fundamentals, low mid fundamentals. Let me find the start here. And the reason why I increased the Q here, the size here is because I wanted it to capture more frequencies and not just one. So I wanted it to capture a lot because if you look at if you look here, there's like it's pretty wide. Now you can also do two of them, but I didn't like that sound. It was like very surgical, and I wanted the stone to sound a little bit messy just because of the story of the track. Like obviously this is where the plot twist is, so I wanted to keep a little bit of looseness here. And then where's virtual mix track? Here it is. Oh, I bypassed it. Here it is. Some high end here. Mostly, so I've added 1.6 on this one and then 3.2 on this one, while on the other track that I've seen I've added 3.2 here. A lot of shimmer, and I think that's pretty much it. Am I doing anything here? No. That's pretty much it for the guitars. The rest are the same as the other, you know, Trans X. You've seen this now a lot. Which makes us go to the guitar master. So all of these groups I've told you about, they go to a guitar master. Right? This has an S1 for a little bit of stereo widening. As you can see, it's literally 0.05, so that's almost nothing. And then you've got a little bit of an OTT, 10% here, doing nothing, and a little bit, I think, a little bit of a gain staging. So probably this is reducing. I'm not sure why I needed this, but it's weird because here I've added 1 dB, but here I've took 1 dB. So it's probably like mastering process, you know. Maybe I had this plugin open while I was mastering. I was like, I need a little bit less of the guitar, and then at a later stage I was like, I needed more. So yeah, I mean, you can tell when something is a post mix thing. All right, let's move to the bass tone now. This track has 3 bass parts, so let me open the bass folder. And by the way, if you don't understand the layout of my process, I have all of the band in a band folder, and then you've got guitars, bass, drum folder, and then obviously this is what's inside of them. And then orchestra, you've got the strings folder, brass folder, winds folder. I'm only using 1 wind instrument here. Orchestral extras, choir, and percussion. And then you've got production folder. This has synths and sound effects. So this is all the synths, I mean pads, ambiences, actual synths, sub basses, whatever, you know, stuff like that. Sound effects, this includes Brahms, as you can see, Brahms, explosions, reversers, anything sound designy I've done, like a slow motion sound design I've done, snare bomb, reverse snare. This, I like to do some sound design in my track. So this is folder. This folder is for all of that, and then you've got a scene folder that has the stuff from the scene. Okay, so that being said, let's go to the bass, and I'm going through these the same way I would mix them. So I would normally do master. I will make sure the mastering change is set up properly. After I know that chain is set up properly, I go to the drums, mix the drums, then the guitars. Will start bringing the guitars in, then the bass. The same thing I do when I'm gain staging. So I gain stage those things exactly that. Gain stage first the kick, the snare, hi-hats and toms and that, then bring in the guitar, then bring in the bass, and then when I mix after gain staging, I do the same thing. Go kick, da da da. So now I'm unboxing it for you exactly like that. So this track has 3 bass tones. It has the main one for the regular song, and it has another one just for the breakdown, because the guitars are pitched down with that fatso pedal I showed you. And then for the outro, because it's a completely like a different thing, it has a different guitar, a different bass guitar entirely. So this is not even the same bass guitar. So let's hear each one. So I'm gonna put first the main bass guitar tone. And then I'm just gonna show you a snippet of the dropped one. So this is the dropped one for the breakdown. So as you can see, it's very similar to that one. The only difference between this and that, maybe some EQ moves, but the only major difference is that it has the same pedal that does a pitch down, the Fatso pedal that the guitar has, just so that we match the low end of the guitars to the bass. I don't want the guitars to sound lower than it was in the section before, but the bass not. So I apply the same Fatso thing on the bass guitars. And then I've got the outro. Let me show you how that sounds like, the outro bass. This is a different bass guitar in general. So in the mix it sounds, I love this section. Right, so there's 3 bass tones here. Obviously nothing's playing together. As you can see, each tone is for a specific part. But let's start with the main bass tone. So you've got, this bass tone is made up of 3 things. So it's made up of DI, which sounds like this. So this is the DI of the bass, right? But obviously it's going through this group. So these 3 are going through this group. So there is some sound change. If I bypass this, you'll hear the original DI. That's the DI, right? And then you've got the gin bass distortion that comes with the instrument. Right, so let me bypass this. So that is the distortion that comes from gin bass. And then I've got the DI, but then I've got my own setup here. And just to show it to you, I would have to unfreeze this. So this is where the DI tone is coming from. Dark glass. So this is how this tone sounds like without the group chain. Very disgusting tone, basically, right? And then together they sound like this, all 3. Right? It sounds disgusting, right? Which is what we want from bass. Now when you put the JW limiter on it, which is normally the first thing I do on bass guitar, it changes the tone slightly. So just this by itself, like if I bypass all of this chain except this, see how the tone is different? So this does some EQ move that I don't know what it is, and I've actually sent a message to Joel today telling him what's the EQ curve on this. So I'll wait until he answers me because I'm really interested to see because it seems like it takes out a lot of mids. But I'll see what he answers me. Joel is the guy who developed this from JST. So the reason why I like this limiter, because it allows you to do the top bottom trick. So now I'm controlling the limiter on the top, and here I'm controlling the limiter on the bottom, so the low end. And I have it set so that the bass is under the kick, not above it, because this is a faster song. In faster songs, you need the bass to be under the kick and the kick to be higher, right? So and then you can limit as you please and set the tones as you please between the the body of the bass, which is the low end, and the high end, the bite of the bass. And this is kind of like what I've done with it. These are the settings when it comes to gain staging. And then I have the typical compressor here. Oops, what did I click? Come on, mate. Where is it? And I've got the bass compressor. Because we're processing lows and highs at the same time, I have it low and high. And then I'm compressing normally 3 dBs. Yeah, 3 dBs. Well, this is going a little bit more. But normally I aim for 3 dBs. And then max bass. This is the same trick as the master chain. Just to take that original bass and add some harmonics in this area. C4 for some taming. So it's working a little bit. And then Pro Q. Alright, are you ready? I know this is gonna be fucking insane. Watch this. Boom. So the reason why this is like this, okay, because I like to redistribute the low end of the bass. So without this EQ, right, with the EQ, so basically all of this area here, I don't want low end from. This is not the low end from the bass I want. I want more about 80. Right, so this is 72, a little bit lower. Normally, I like this area between 70 and 85 is normally where I want the bass to be, depending on the note. Not this. So as you can see, I've done a lot of reduction here because this is not the bass area I want. And this is to compensate for what the limiter did. Didn't I tell you that I think it takes a lot of mid? So I've put it back here. And then there's some cleanup here. I've added a lot of attack, but then there's one frequency I didn't like. I brought it down. Another attack here. And this is gonna hide how it sounds with this EQ. But I think this is not the only EQ here. There's another EQ move. I don't know how crazy it is. Okay, so another set, removing this again, but increasing this because maybe I felt it needs more attack, and adding a little bit of that 80 that I like. Right? And this is how I made that tone. So I know that first EQ you've seen, it probably is a nightmare, but it was needed. Now the breakdown bass is the same bass guitar. It's also gin, but it's, as I said, it's applied by the Fatso effect, the same as the guitars, just to match them. And what it has is 1 second. What am I doing here? Okay, I know what this is. This is for an effect. Don't worry about this pitch shifter here. The bass tone on the dark class is the same. This is probably set differently because obviously this is like the balance of the frequencies are different. So the top and the bottom are gain staged differently. This is the same thing, also reducing about 3 dB. But I'm just gonna jump to the difference. So the difference will be these two EQs. So this is very similar to that one. I can see that it's already shifted a little bit to the left because this is a little bit of a lower tone. And then this is similar to that one. However, it's very similar to that one, by the way. I know it looks shittier, but if you think about it, it's exactly the same. The only difference is that you've got these notches that I've done, and these probably came up because of the Gojira pedal on the bass, like a lot of like, you know, what do you call it? A lot of noisy or silly frequencies. I mean, if I play the breakdown and we solo each one, let's solo this. It's a whistle one. Another like whistly one. This is a very sharp. Yeah, they're very fucked up. So it's just some cleaning after this massive move that I've done. And that is the drop bass tone. So let's now move to the outro. Now in the outro, I wanted to see something because there is an automation that happens here. But first, I want you to listen to the... Where is it? I have to unfreeze it. 1 second. Unfreeze. Boom. All right. So the first thing, I want you to hear the DI, and I will tell you what this instrument is. Wait, let me just bypass this first and bypass these two. So this is the original DI. Now this library is the Omni Bass, which is the bass virtual instrument from Submission Audio that is modeled after the band the Omnific, which is a bass band, right? It's a bass prog band, and this is their bass, right? So for this section, I really love this, especially for the slap part. So I've used this. So as the other two bass tones, I have a blend of a DI, the tone from the instrument itself, from the contact library, and then the DI but with my tone, right? So let's see what's happening. So on the DI, I have this with an EQ, right, removing the low end, and then Saturn. Let me see what settings are. So we're all on warm tape, and I'm just this is gentle transformer, okay, and this is on warm tape, and I done this range here because of the slab. Like I wanted that metal, like there's a metallic quality to those slabs. If I put all the bass tone together, can you hear the something like that? I don't know what that sound is, but I really loved it. And it's very like metal, like I don't know, it's very stringy and has some. You can tell that it's something, you know, made of metal is being played, and that's probably the, you know, the nickel from the strings. And that I wanted that from the slab, so I just distorted it so we can hear it more. And then you've got the tone, the actual tone from Contact Library. Can you hear that whistle? I've probably EQ'd Living Hill out of that. And then this is an interesting one. So this, I've took the DI and I've put this preset on. So this is obviously Rabia, which is a guitar amp. However, Bleed From Within, Steven, has Bleed From Within bass high-end tone. And I was like, I fucking want to try that. So I've put that on, and this is only a high-end bite. Right, it's only a high-end bite, but I loved it. So I've blended all three together, and then the sound without the group processing is like this. So this is all three. Yeah. Okay. By the way, I should have mentioned before, I forgot to mention, which is very important. I do have pi on the dropped bass guitar, the tone we checked just before this one. And pi is basically making sure that the phase is aligned with this tone. By the way, this is how pi looks like for those who don't know. You just put pi on all of the tracks that are matching. You've put them to a set group, and it aligns the phase for all of them. So yeah, I sometimes use it. As you can see, I've used it on a guitar tone, and now I've used it here. I probably put it here on both those, but I don't see it here because I've probably removed it because I didn't like the results, so I left it as is. Okay, now let's go to the group here. So this is actually, I don't have Joel's limiter here. I don't think I liked the tone it was doing, so I've again staged this with a regular limiter. And then we're going to Saturn here, so really different processing to the other two bass tones, right? All of these are on warm tape, but they're distorted differently. I don't think these are distorted at all, maybe a little bit, and these quite a bit. Like this is fucking 85, and this is also 85. And then we're going from Saturn to the compressor, low high, from that to max bass. Let me just go down here to max bass, which you've seen on every one of the tones, C4, and then an equalizer. Oh, holy shit. Okay, let's look at this. So this is a whistling frequency I was hearing. Let me, can you actually, I've never viewed this in very large. This is very large. This is not very large. Medium. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of zoom into this area. I mean, look how many frequencies close to each other I've removed. This must have sounded like ass. So let me bypass it and see what it was before. Oh, and by the way, watch this, because this has actually an automation. So I'm gonna play this section. This has an automation. So again, this is going back to the, for that slap part, the I wanted those I don't know, the sound of the slap. I wanted it to be really loud and metallic. So only for that section, I've put this band that is cutting most, yeah, like on default, but it's getting increased on that section. And if you think about it, it's getting increased twice. So it's because it's getting increased to 0 and then to +3. But I want to hear the tone without the EQ to see how it was before I do this mad EQ here. Let's see. And now with yeah, that whistly tone is probably this one. It was a disaster, and there's a lot of boxiness or like rattle I didn't like. Let's hear that without the EQ. With but it still sounds like a disgusting tank after the EQ, which is what we want. And then I have a track spacer, so this is being ducked by the kick. So the kick is ducking only these frequencies, sidechained from the kick, and yeah, because I wanted the kick to kind of be very, kind of show itself, and this is why I have the settings like this, which I'm very disappointed at, because this normally I would put this at fastest attack, fastest release, and I have no idea why I didn't do that. But the track is released now, so who cares? But okay, for the future, just for this section, don't believe this. This is not normally how I would do it. I'll put this as fast attack, fast release, because I just want the kick to show itself, to poke through just the transient through the bass, and then you know, not affect the bass tone. But I probably set this up, got distracted, didn't set this up. Very, very silly, but the track's now released, so it is what it is, and still sounds good, so no worries. But this is what it removed, what it removes with from the kick. Like, see, it's staying longer than I would like it to be. It is what it is. But yeah, that is, I forgot to say, that is on the bass master, right? I don't have, I have an ozone EQ here on the bass master that is bypassed. What was on it? There was a mid-range boost here. I probably didn't like it when I was like doing final touches, so I just removed it. Anything else? No. So that is the band. We've just done the entire band. Let me know if you have any question about that. Otherwise, we will move to the orchestra. I'm just gonna freeze these 3 tracks very quickly, because the orchestra also, we probably need to unfreeze stuff. Let me see the time and where we are, because there's... Alright, I think... Let me just see something. While it freezes, I'm just gonna check, because I might have to dip, and we have to make a part 2 for the orchestra and the production. The band normally takes the most time with everything, mixing, mastering, all of that stuff, and then the orchestra is a little bit less. So I know that we've done third of the track, which is only the band, but that is actually the part that takes a lot. So we might have to do part 2, to do the other 2 tomorrow. I'm just gonna check, because there's something I probably... Oh, yes, by the way, it's freezing. Oh, it's almost finished freezing. Okay. I see. Okay. All right, we can stay a little bit. Um, let me see. Actually, I might let's I probably have to dip because I need to work on a little bit before I go to bed. It's 10:20 here in the UK and I need to do some admin. But what I'm gonna do, let's raid our friend Chris. If you liked what I've just done or the what you've just seen, you have to stick around for Chris because Chris does something similar and he's fantastic at it. So let's see. Stream manager, raid. Because he's live. All right, fantastic. Let's do it. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will be jumping with you to Chris. I'll probably put his stream in the background. I've just noticed the time, and there is a few stuff I need to do for my side hustle Ghost Note that I must finish today. Check out Ghost Notes, by the way. You can see the link in the description. But with that being said, we've done part 1 of the mix. Tomorrow I'm gonna do part 2 of the unboxing, and then we're gonna start talking about the new track. Thank you so much for joining today, and I'll see you in the next stream. Let's enjoy together Chris's uh, content. I think I also submitted a track with Chris, so it might even play there. But I need to do something with Ghost Note accessories, the side hustle I have, because tomorrow we're planning to do something. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking, and give Chris some love when you join. All right, let's see. All right, enjoy, guys.
That